Right, let's do this. How are you doing, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's installment of the Max Level Games podcast. I am your James? Oh, God. Hello. And welcome to Max Level Games. How are you doing, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's installment of the Max Level Games podcast. I am your host, James Walters. Usually there is another man beside me, but unfortunately today he is ill, so rather than miss a week out for you guys, I've decided I'll try and run it on my own. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. It's usually a two-man affair, but we'll make it through somehow, guys. Trust me, we'll make it through somehow. For those of you who don't know, this is a weekly, give or take a day or so, podcast where I, usually, two of us, sit here for about an hour or so, and I will try and make it an hour or so, and talk about games, comics, films, anything and all things. It's worth mentioning that this is a mature podcast. You're likely to hear some choice words, as we're not the kind of people to sugarcoat things, unless those things are donuts. So, you've been warned. Well, right, on to, now that's out of the way, where to start? So, games I've played this week. Well, let's see. Well, if those of you paid attention last week, or those who listened in last week, should I say, my PS4 is presently out of commission. Its update to that story, however, it has been fixed, thankfully. Thank any sort of deity above, but it has been fixed, thankfully. So I'll be getting that back soon. I'll be joining you guys back on the current generation of consoles. But in the meantime, I've been playing somewhat of a mixed bag of older games. I've essentially played this week a PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 game. So makes no sense to go in a chronological order. I tried. Chronological order. The PS1 game first. So, I played Gex. Gex Deep Cover Gecko, or as you guys in the States know as just Gex 3 Deep Cover Gecko. We didn't get numbers over here, which made it very confusing, because I always thought Enter the Gecko was a third game, but it's not. I think. No, it isn't. Deep Cover Gecko is. That came out back in 1999. And fuck, does that make me feel old. I mean, I'm not that old, but still, to know that game, that was one of the games on the PlayStation that basically defined my gaming lifestyle back in the day. So to know that's pushing 20 years at this point. It'll be 20 years next year that came out, March 1st, 1999. 20 years next year. Fucking hell. Good lord. Well, anyway. So yeah, I've been playing Gex because honestly, the Gex games, they were just really good. I mean, depending on your definition of how things age well, I'm not certain I can say that the Gex games have aged well. You definitely see the wrinkles or the sharper edges going into this Xena game. I've been playing it on the PS3. I should probably mention that as well, like download and stuff. So, yeah, it's definitely rough around the edges. This was back in the day before dual analogs was a thing. So the camera, as it was with many games back in the day, is your worst enemy. So it's the L and R buttons, which is a nightmare to control. But, you know, it's I can't even justify it. The camera is a nightmare. There's no way to justify it. But you know, it's an older game, so we forgive these kind of things. But other than that, it's just nice to go back to it. There's a lot of things in it that I don't even remember. Like, for instance, I've just got into the second hub area called Lake Flaccid, which is hilarious, by the way. And I'd completely forgotten there was an Egyptian level. So when I got into the level, I was like, I don't remember any of this. Oh, wait, yes, I do. And I also remember, as well, how unforgiving platform games back in the day were. Because, goddamn, those of you who know the Gex games, or at least know this game specifically, because they kept changing things between games. It got to the third game, and I had to collect all the flies to get the remote for this world. And for the love of God, I got all the way to like 90, probably something 96, and I was trying my damnedest to find the last couple of flies, and I fell. I fell into a bottomless pit that is so common in platform games back in the day, and I lost everything. Back all the way to the last checkpoint, which was around 40 or so flies, and I was like, oh, fuck me sideways. So, yeah, that took more time than it should have done. But, other than that, I think they're just really good games, to be fair. I mean, a lot of people will jump on the fact that the Gex series was originally a 2D platformer, and I'll hold my hand up and say I haven't actually played the very first Gex game. I would like to. I think in order for me to say that I am a proper fan of the series, I might have to go back and actually experience the first game. But it's just, I jumped in at the second game when I was younger, and the second and third game are all I know. And frankly, I think they're still brilliant. They might not have aged well, depending on your perspective of things, but because, you know, in order to turn right, you've got to do a proper circle. You can literally do donuts with Gex as you're playing, so the controls are a bit of a mixed bag, really. You take them as you get them. But all in all, I think it's just a fantastic game. Of course it is. It's Gex. I'd love to see it make a resurgence as well. I was going to mention this later, but I'll mention it now instead. This is the kind of game franchise that I could see making some money if they were to give it, not even necessarily just the Crash Bandicoot treatment, but just like give it a bit of a polish and then sort the controls out and sort the camera out and then bring it back to modern consoles. Or, as some people have mentioned, do the Rayman approach, because Rayman as well originally started out as a 2D platformer. So maybe Gex could return to the 2D roots. Who knows? That would be nice to see. But other than that, I think again, most ideal world, this game would get its Crash treatment. I like how that's what it's called now, the Crash treatment, a total remake of the game. Because Spyro's got it, so now Crash has got it. Oh, sorry, the way around. Yeah. I'd love to see that with Gex, because if they're going to remaster, whatever you want to call it, Medieval, which is a franchise that I never touched as a kid. I imagine maybe because it was a bit too old for me when the original PlayStation came out. I don't know. But if that's the kind of thing they want to remaster, that's absolutely fine. But if they're looking at other franchises from the PS1 days, I would definitely make a case that Gex deserves some fresh light on it. At least to give the new audience as sort of a taste of how things were. And as well as that, can we just decide on, like, if that's going to happen, can we just decide on who is the voice of Gex? Because I don't know if it's a regional thing, but over in the UK, the second Gex game, Enter the Gecko, that was a British Gex. I believe, I could be wrong on this, it was Bruce Forsyth, of all people. He voiced Gex. But then in the third game, he's an American, and he's apparently a very famous American comedian. I can't remember his name right now, because I don't actually know who it is. But yeah, can we just pick one and stick with it? I'm happy with either, because I can easily point out some great lines that have been said by both voices. I'm like, yeah, no, I can't even decide who I'd rather be the proper voice of Gex. So just give me a Gex. Just make sure it's make sure the voice sticks and keep with it. Moving on, the next game I played is technically, excuse me, a PS2 game, but I was playing the HD remaster version on the PlayStation 3 because this was one I got for free on PlayStation Plus many moons ago, but I'd never give it the time of day, and it's one of those games that I put in the same brackets as Psychonauts. It's a game that has loads of fan appeal, loads of cultural sort of sleeper hits, as we should call them. They didn't sell very well, but everyone loves them to death. So, and that is Beyond Good and Evil, and I thought it would be more appropriate to play it now because obviously last E3 they announced Beyond Good and Evil 2 to the surprise and joy of many fans out there. I was very indifferent at the time because I'd never played the games, so you know, I was more happy for them. But I thought I'd give it a go because again E3's coming up soon, and Ubisoft are no doubt going to mention it. They've actually released recently, I believe, well, I don't know how recently actually, some very pre-alpha footage of gameplay and stuff, and it looks pretty good. I think to jump straight into it, you know, it's been out for a long time now. It came out in November of 2003, so it passes our year of over a year of spoilers barrier. So although that was the original one. The remake, I don't know when that came out actually, but even so, if you played the original, you loved it. You played the remake, you loved it. It came out more than a year ago either way. It's a very cliffhanger ending. I can partly see now why most people who loved this series really wanted a sequel, because that's the only way. That sound clip right there is the best way of describing the end of Beyond Good and Evil, because you defeat the final boss, who is a total cunt of a fight, by the way. I'm going to put that out right now. I don't care how much people love this game. That final boss fight is dumb, and it's fucking annoying. And when I beat it, I was so fucking pleased, but it was the kind of pleased where it's like, finally it's over, as opposed to, yes, suck my dick. It's awful. So, Jade beats the big Dom's priest monster thing. It's been a week. And you sort of realize your powers that are inside of her, and you save all the people that have been kidnapped, and then credits start rolling, and you're just thinking, wait, what? What? You're gonna finish that off there a little bit? You kind of left a bit of blank space there. And then the credits end, and we see Paige looking out over the burned husk of the lighthouse, and he's infected with the DOMS thing that Double H was earlier in the game. And you're like, oh, so that's completely sequel baiting. You are totally sequel baiting there, Ubisoft. Sort your shit out. And then they said nothing until last year that there actually is be a sequel, and that sequel is not even related to the main story, I believe. So yeah, but it's a good game though. It's, as I said with Gex, it's the same kind of problem those days in gameplay where the camera is always your worst enemy. I mean, obviously the analog stick was a thing back then. It's just a lot of the environments in Beyond Good and Evil sort of fixed camera it a little bit. It's not totally fixed where you can't see entirely, but it sort of like wrangles it away and holds it really tight. So when you try and wrestle it to look where you want to go and, you know, see where that fucking guard is that you're trying to avoid, the camera's like, no, I'm going to stay up here, please. No. But yeah. Other than that, I think it's a good game. I didn't really see much incentive to, like, fully complete it, at least. I mean, anyone who's played it themselves will know you have to get, like, a shit ton of pearls in order to basically finish the game. But then you can also collect all the pearls, because there's even more to collect, but I didn't really... I could be wrong on this. Someone can correct me on this. But after you've bought all the extra stuff, there's no real incentive to go and collect everything else. Again, could be wrong. I didn't carry on with it. I was more sort of, focused on finishing it and seeing what all the hype was about, essentially. That I didn't really think, you know what, I'm going to go back and 100% this game. But I don't know. It's still good. I can see why people were very happy with this game back in the day, or considered it a cult classic. One of these days, I will finish Psychonauts. I know, God forbid. I've actually got the game both on PlayStation 2 and my PS4 account, but I haven't finished it. I've kept starting it, never finished it. I will, hand on heart, go back to Psychonauts one day. But Beyond Good and Evil, yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. I mean, not that anyone needs that opinion, but you know what I mean. Next up is a bit more of a recent game, but not so much. Last week, I played one of the Ratchet & Clank future games, which is the PS3 trilogy, and it is a trilogy. Quest for Booty counts. Don't fight me on this. And I played this week the sequel spin-off of Crack in Time, and that's All for One. I described it last week as they went through a weird phase, and it still applies, I think, because honestly, I'm a big fan of the Ratchet & Clank games. I think, to the best of my knowledge, I've played all of them. All the PS1 games, all the PSP games, not PS1, PS2 games, PSP games, and the PS3 and the PS4. I watched the movie. I fucking love this franchise. But I don't know if I could actually tell you or not whether All for One and then the sequel Q-Force were important to the story overall, really. It's, as I say, it's a weird phase, I think, for the franchise, because they essentially went from the usual run-and-gun platforming of the Ratchet & Clank franchise to a semi-top-down 4-player co-op with All for One, which I've been playing, as I say, some of it, not very much. I've got through about 3-4 areas of the game so far, and it's not awful by any means. I've only ever had the experience of playing it on my own, which it probably sounds a lot more depressing than it is, but here, go with me on this. It just feels like a very strange direction for them. As I say, the overall story, I don't know whether that actually applies or is rather relevant to Ratchet & Clank as a whole, or at least before the reboot. But it's a game worth a play. I'd say that. I'd say if you're a fan of the franchise, don't skip it out. It's worth having a look at least, just to see something different at least. It's not necessarily my kind of thing in terms of like the genre I'd go for, as in like big co-ops and stuff, because as we've mentioned before on the podcast, I'm not the biggest co-op / online kind of guy. for the most part. But it's still a Ratchet and Clank at the end of the day. You get weapons, platforming. I will say one thing though, and that is when you play solo, you get an AI partner because most of the puzzles require 2 characters, and the AI is fucking dumb. Like, honestly fucking dumb. There was one particular puzzle where you have to send... Okay, so I was playing as Ratchet, obviously, and you get Clank as a co-op partner, obviously. It's in the title. And you have a gadget called the vacuum, which you can use to open locks, special switches, send your co-op partner flying, and then slingshot over to him as well. All this good stuff, excuse me. You have to shoot Clank over to the platform, pull on a lock to release this Voltergeist, I think it's called. It's like a little jelly squid thing that has electricity in it. You use that to open a switch. He's supposed to pick it up and then shoot it back to you, but half the time he was like sitting there with it in his gun, like, I'm gonna chill here. I'm gonna enjoy the scenery. And I'm just sat there like, give me the thing. I'm even triggering the gadget to be like, give me the Voltergeist. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna jump in and then lose it, and it respawns. I'm gonna do it over and over again. This happened like 4 or 5 times. And then most recently, before, like, I'm talking like a couple hours ago, there was one of the swing shot spinners, best way to put it. It's a swing shot spinner. You attach to it, it spins around, it shoots you to the next part of the map. And with one thing, Clank was stuck on the other swing shot beforehand. He could easily make it to the next one, he just chose not to. And I was ready to go, and then for some reason, you've got to, when you attach the swing shot ring or spinner, you've got to spin the analog stick to say, yeah, I'm ready to go. The AI didn't want to go, whereas I was ready to go, and then the AI was like, no, I'll wait. So I was just sat there in silence for like a whole 5 minutes while the AI decided it wanted to carry on with the game, and I was like, oh, thank God for that. I thought I was going to sit here forever. So the AI is not the greatest. I think obviously because it's designed as a cooperative game, it's the kind of thing you definitely should play with someone. Unfortunately, I don't have that luxury. Again, sounds more depressing than it is. It's not really. But it's still pretty good. It's still a good game. I was planning to play Q-Force for a little while, actually, because, you know, I will hold my hand up and admit that is the one Ratchet & Clank game I didn't finish. I started it, didn't finish it. So I was like, I need to fill that little gap in my repertoire. But in terms of like story and stuff, I think it's for these 2 games. This is what I'm trying to get at with the story of Ratchet & Clank. These 2 games link together, quite obviously, but I don't know if that fits into the rest of the story. So, you know, take it as you will. But if you're gonna play one, you should play the other, preferably All for One first, and then Q-Force. But that's just my opinion. All in all, though, it's still a Ratchet & Clank game in the most basic sense. So it's still worth a play. But that is all for games I played, because, well, I honestly couldn't decide what to play. It's kind of hard going back a generation when your main console is out of service, because I've got so many back catalogue of games at the minute, and I'm like, I'm going back to my old system, which still has a back catalogue, and I'm like, oh god, there's too many games. Oh god. But, wow, that was quick. On to the next portion of the podcast. I'm trying to drag it out, I do apologise, but I'm also getting dry mouth, so excuse me, cause pee break. And we're back in the room. So, on the next section of the Max Level Games podcast, that was a bit of a mouthful, is the news section. And this week, there's been quite a bit. Unfortunately, as I say, Liam's not with us this week, so I'm going to have to sort of just tell you the news, sort of give opinions and such, but we'll just see how this goes. As I say, big week for news. There's been quite a few things that have gone on across film and game, but we'll just start on, I've got a list in front of me, so we're just going to work our way down the list. The first bit of news for all you Battle Royale fans out there, allegedly, PUBG's, and their developers, and I'm not sure who they are going to sue Fortnite, and I believe Fortnite is Epic Games. I should probably look that up, over copyright infringements, because for the longest time everyone's compared the two together, saying Fortnite is basically the consoles or the layman's version of PUBG, because originally PUBG was a PC master race kind of game. But yeah, Excuse me. So yeah, allegedly they're going to sue them over copyright because you can apparently copyright now game mechanics. So yeah, but I think to be more specific about it, I didn't look into this incredibly much because this is just more of a. This would have been one of those stories that I was gonna sort of back and forth with Liam a little bit, but we're gonna have to work without that. It's because allegedly in one of the early trailers for Fortnite, they referenced PUBG in sort of a comparison way, so that's where they're kind of going with it. And you know, call a spade, it's because Fortnite is now more popular than PUBG. Unfortunately. I just wish they'd all die, but no, they're here to stay. Fortnite is more popular than PUBG, according to the statistics, so maybe they're just trying to get rid of the competition in the most meaningless way possible. I really don't know. This, as I say, this is not a story for me, but I just thought it's worth mentioning because all you Fortnite and PUBG fans out there and haters of the opposite team would probably get a kick out of it. So yeah. Next up is movie news. I've got a few bits of movie news for us. Although this one's sort of a two-parter. The first bit isn't movie, the second bit is movie. You all know Hasbro, right? The people who made most of the basic, or pretty much all of our childhood toys and some great cartoons like Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So they bought Power Rangers this week. They bought the franchise of Power Rangers. They bought all of Power Rangers. It's no longer in the hands of Saban Entertainment and Lionsgate. Hasbro owns it now. And they bought it for $522 million. That is $500 million. Fucking hell. I mean, I knew Power Rangers was worth a lot, but god damn, that is a lot of money. And now Hasbro got it. So they've just added more to the repertoire of sort of our childhood, which allegedly they are looking to still make movies about. But this is the next part. The sort of latest Power Rangers movie that came out last year, if you guys remember, the Saban one, quite dark and edgy. I thought it was pretty decent. There's no more of those, or at least not that way, at least. Who knows if Hasbro will make a Power Rangers movie in the future, but it probably... No, it won't be connected to that. I'm pretty sure it's like some kind of copyright or some shit. I don't know. But that sort of universe, should we say, that they were going to set up movie-wise, that's dead. Yeah, so that whole post-credit scene where they teased Tommy Oliver being in the class with him at detention, you can just forget that ever happened because you're probably never going to see him. Or at least not the way they intended it. Or her. That was a thing too. So yeah. That movie sequel is unfortunately dead, which is a shame, as I say, because big long time fan of Power Rangers. At least I was more so obsessed with the kid, obviously, as we all were. But it's more of a resurgence in recent years in terms of popularity with like the comic book series and all, and the film and such. But it's a shame to see that sort of franchise was dead, because I'm not gonna lie, I kind of liked what they were doing with it. It felt a bit more adult while still appealing to younger audiences, because obviously Power Rangers is for kids. You can't deny that Power Rangers is a kids TV program. But the film I thought was good. Even my sister and my brother loved it, and they used to hate when I watched Power Rangers as a child because that's all I wanted to talk about and all I wanted to do. So yeah. But yes, that's a bit of unfortunate news. But next news is a bit more light-hearted. Who remembers Spawn? I don't know Spawn. I didn't watch the film. I know there was a film. I never watched it, though. I know there's a game, too. I never played that either. I think that was a PS1 game. But Spawn's a character that a lot of people like. While it's not one that I'm familiar with, they are allegedly trying to reboot Spawn into a film franchise. And they've just cast their Spawn. I don't know his human name, but his hero name is Spawn. And they have cast him. And that is Jamie Foxx. Because, of course, it fucking is. The man's a badass. Or at least, yeah, he's a badass. He's also played superheroes before. Well, villains, Electro. We don't really talk about that very much. So, yeah. No, that should be pretty fun. I know there's a few fan castings out there. Like, I couldn't name characters, but I know people threw names like, God, what's his name now? From Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Fuck, Danny DeVito. That's the one. Danny DeVito. Some people have fan casted Danny DeVito in the film as a I assume one of the villains. I don't know. This is not a franchise I'm familiar with. And Benedict Cumberbatch as well as the voice of something. Again, completely clueless. This is more just general news I thought was interesting because we all love Jamie Foxx. We all love Django Unchained. We tolerated Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Electro. But I think this should be pretty good whenever I think it's set to film. It's set to come out next year, I believe. So that should be good. Now on to more saddening question mark, because that's an intentional question mark. Season 9 of The Walking Dead. That's the next season to come on TV, which is due to air this October, I believe. Depending on your opinions of the show, you know, you either love it or you hate it. You once loved it and you now just don't give a shit, or you're a fan of the comics and you keep ripping on the TV show because they keep changing too much shit. I'm a bit of both, really. I like the show, but they do change a lot of stuff from the comics. And I like the comics. The comics are pretty good. But anyway, the news is that at the end of Season 9, Andrew Lincoln is reportedly stepping down from the role of Rick Grimes. That's right. Rick Grimes, the main protagonist, the whole reason most of anything goes on in The Walking Dead anymore, is leaving. Which is interesting because, as a lot of people pointed out with the whole, spoilers right now, just throwing that out there, Carl died this season, and many people were shocked about that, really, because, well, again, going back to the whole comics thing, I know the TV's separate, they can do their own thing, they've sort of branched away enough from the comics, but people still take a lot of inspiration. Carl's still alive and kicking, as far as I'm aware. I'm not fully up to date with it, but as far as I'm aware, he's still alive and kicking. And they just killed him off in the show. So that had a lot of people divided. Oh, FYI, that episode was depressing as fuck. I don't care if it's meant to be depressing or meant to be saddening or meant to be heartfelt. I wanted to slip my wrist the entire time I watched that episode. So yeah, let's just move away from that. So reportedly, yes, Andrew Lincoln is going to step away and not be Rick Grimes anymore. So it'll be even more interesting to see how they tackle that. I mean, as I say, he is the main character. So it'd be like watching Batman without Batman. So that should be interesting to see at least. At least it'll make watching Season 9 more interesting because, you know, we know that come the end of Season 9, something's going to happen to Rick. Either he's going to die or he's going to leave. Or maybe they're just going to end the show altogether. Who knows? You know. I think as far as their sort of, like, confirmed seasons go, Season 9 is as far as we've got. I don't know if they've confirmed a Season 10 or have greenlit a Season 10. So we'll just have to wait and see on that accord. But the last bit of movie news is, it's not so much news, but it's more of a, we kind of know already sort of scenario. So the Venom movie comes out in a few months. Early October, late September, I believe. I don't have it in front of me. That's coming out. Two very mixed opinions so far. I'm more on the fence of we'll see how it goes. Because it's a Venom movie without Spider-Man. So we'll just see how that goes. But we've known for a while that Woody Harrelson is in the film in an unannounced role. And most people were like, is he going to be Cletus Cassidy? Because I could totally see that. And yeah, I can totally see that too. I could totally see him as a psychopath, family murdering, soon-to-be supervillain in the form of Carnage. And I believe that he's recently discussed being in the Venom movie. But what he said specifically was interesting was that he's also in its sequel as well. And it's not uncommon to have sort of sequel plans for a film that's not been out yet, but with a movie that's sort of as divisive as Venom is, for them to be sort of giving it the green light for a sequel already is really, really, really ambitious of them. It's Sony, so I imagine that regardless of how the Venom movie does financially or in terms of reviews, they're probably going to give it a sequel anyway, because it's Sony. They're going to milk it for all it's fucking worth. But yeah, he's set to be in the sequel, so this kind of leads more credence to the whole, is he going to be Carnage? Because everyone knows that Venom's, aside from Spider-Man, Venom's other sort of main antagonist is Carnage. And I could be misquoting here. I believe he said something in an interview to the effect of, he's bringing some Carnage to the film. Now, whether he was being coy and just being like, oh yeah, I'm bringing some wink wink carnage to the wink wink film. I don't know. Again, I could be pulling that out my arse, to be perfectly honest. That could be something that I've just made up or just sort of heard someone else fantasize about. I don't know. But take that how you will. Take it all with a grain of salt, because as we say, the film's not out yet. Just develop your own opinions, and then we'll see when the film comes out how that's going to go. But before we move on to the next part of the news, I have to go pee! And I'm back in the room. I know, right? 2 pee breaks in one episode. Well, when it's just me running the show today, I kind of need to drag it out as much as I can, or at least I'm drinking a lot of water, which is a good thing in terms of health, but I also have to pee a real bunch, but I swear it's the last pee break for this episode. So, the next bit of news is all gaming stuff, or at least, yes, looking at my list, all gaming stuff. I can't remember, it was last week or the week before, I was mentioning that, or rather, we talked about how someone from Sony was saying that the PS4 is entering the end of its life cycle. And me and Liam weren't happy about that, because, you know, we want at least games for a good another 2-3 years, because, you know, these consoles are expensive, these games are expensive. I don't want to be shelling out now to fix my PS4 only for them to announce PS5 like in a couple months time, which obviously isn't going to happen. But I'm exaggerating, but that's basically what I'm getting at. So the next bit that I want to say is that Sony have come out and said they're going to keep making PS4 games up until 2021. And honestly, I'm okay with that. That's enough time, I'd say, because as maddening as it is, I believe the PS4 came out in 2013? 2014. Either way, that's like a good 7-8 years life cycle, which is pretty average for a console nowadays. So, if that's where they're going to go with it, if that's the length of time they're going to keep making PS4 games, then I'm happy to stick around. Obviously, I was going to anyway. I'm a Sony fanboy. So yeah. And speaking of Sony fanboys, the next bit of news is PS Plus. PS Plus for June got announced. See, it only got announced last night, so if we recorded the episode yesterday, we would have missed this news entirely. But because we're recording it today, we get this news. And thankfully, you cannot understand how thankful I am to say this, I don't own any of these games. Oh my lord, praise be to you, if you do exist, which I doubt it. So, for PS Plus this June, this month in June, we are getting on the PlayStation 4, very shocking, I was surprised by this first one, XCOM 2. Now, the XCOM series is not one I've ever had my eye on. It's a tactical thing, like the word escapes me now, but like, sort of you decide how things go and then they execute them. Real-time strategy, that's the one, real-time strategy. It's been said that it's a great game. I mean, as I say, not the biggest RTS fan. I may actually give it a go, though, because I sort of played Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and I fucking love that game. That's probably like a very watered-down version of RTS, so we'll see how it goes. I'm definitely going to play that as soon as I get my PS4 back. As I say, very surprising. I still consider that quite a top-tier game, so it's good that we're getting the good games now in PS Plus, especially considering, you know, come next March, we could be getting less games, or maybe not. We'll see on that front. But the other PS4 game we're going to get is Trials Fusion, which, if Liam were here, he'd love this. It's a motorbike game. It's a motorbike platformer puzzle game, if I remember correctly, because I haven't played it again. But it's, from what I've seen, it's kind of like ragdolly sort of. You get from point A to point B and all these obstacles, driving a motocross bike. So it's pretty straightforward, really. It's just more Trials games. I think if you know what you're getting into, then it's just more fun for you. And I imagine a lot of people already have this game, so I feel like it may be a bit of a poor choice in terms of choosing games that maybe not that many people have, but I can't say much, because as we've already discussed, most months I've had games on that list already. Yeah. But the other games we're going to get, I'm not mentioning PS Vita games, because don't get me wrong, I like the PS Vita as a console. I don't own one anymore, but to mention those games is just kind of like you're speaking to one guy in a boxed off room for the most part. Not to diss on any PS Vita fans, but you get what I'm saying with that. If you want to know what they have, what they're going for PS Vita this month, go look it up. But other than that, I'm talking about PS3 and PS4. And on PS3, we're getting a Tom Clancy title. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Soldier, which, as you can tell by my fuck up there, that's a big title. It's a Ghost Recon game, I assume. I don't know, it's part of the franchise. I'm probably not going to play it. Those aren't my kind of games. If Liam was on the PS3, he'd probably be playing them, but I'm not going to play it. But, it still sounds like a decent selection. And then the other game is Zombie Driver. As you can imagine, you get in a big car and you run down zombies. I don't really know what more you can say about it than that. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. They are going to be available on the first Tuesday of the month, which in this case is the 6th. Oh, wait, no. The 5th. Sorry, the 5th. I'm just looking at a big calendar in front of me right now. The first Tuesday of June is the 5th. So, around about midday, June 5th, you should be able to pick up these games if you're on PS Plus. And yeah, we've mentioned a few times we don't really play Xbox games. Never been an Xbox fan, but I think it's only fair to mention what games with gold are for Xbox this month. Rearrange that sentence, you'll get something that makes sense. So, on the Xbox One, or should I say, they're all on Xbox One because of backwards compatibility thing. Yeah. On Xbox One only, though, you'll be getting Assassin's Creed Chronicles Russia. Only one of the Chronicles games, of which there were 3. I believe it was Russia, China, and... oh, God. I forget the last one, but... yeah, it was a trilogy of Chronicles games. Sort of 2D platformer. What was it? 3D. 3D side-scrolling platformer, because the character models were 3D. I don't know what you call that, actually. But that's what it is. That's what you're getting. That's one of them. The other one you're getting is Smite, which is an online... one of the online games. I forget the official terminology for it, but it's an online... is it Memorpica? Might be Memorpica. But yeah, one of those. As for the 360 side, and also Xbox One still, because of backwards compatibility, you'll be getting Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, which is very fitting when we get further into the news on this list, and you'll see why. But that's one of them, and the other game is Lego Indiana Jones 2. So those are your selections for this week, this month rather. Messed up again. June, PlayStation, we're getting XCOM 2, Trials Fusion. PS3, we're getting Ghost Recon's Future Soldier and Zombie Driver. Xbox games with gold. Xbox One's getting Assassin's Creed Chronicles Russia and Smite, as well as Sonic and All-Star Racing Transformed and Lego Indiana Jones 2. And those last 2 titles will be on the 360. Next up on the docket, we have a few more things to go through. I'm sorry I'm ragging your ear off here. And this is a bit of Xbox news again, I know. Twice we've mentioned the Xbox in this podcast, and I'm on my own today. So... god damn, I'm definitely being versatile. And this is just a rumor. It's entirely rumor. Okay, it's so any Xbox fans listening in, do not take this as gospel. Take it with a pinch of salt. This is only what's been reported, so just be careful. If you're a fan of the Crackdown series and you're looking forward to Crackdown 3, which they announced back, I believe it was when they revealed the Xbox One that Crackdown 3 was a thing. Maybe sit down for a second, because it looks like it may or may not be cancelled. Very quietly, are Xbox trying to cancel it if they're doing it, but there's a chance that yes, Crackdown 3 may be cancelled. And the reason for this speculation is because some people on, I think it was the Spanish Amazon, who had pre-ordered the game have had their pre-orders cancelled. And I believe listings for it on the, at least on the Spanish Amazon, have gone down. So it could just be one place messing up. It could be that things are going to change with E3 around the corner. It's next week, in fact. Oh my goodness, it's next week. Or it could be in all unfortunate cases that yes, Crackdown 3 may be cancelled. And if that's the case, then believe me, I'm coming more sorry for Xbox fans out there, but you know, I guess if they just have no faith in the project, there's no point in investing time, money into it. But we'll see how that goes. As I say, E3 is next week. The Microsoft conference is on the weekend, I think. So just wait until then to hear anything more official. As I say, don't take what I've just said as gospel. Wait until confirmation comes out. But speaking of more rumours or sort of take it with a pinch of salt sort of news, although this one's more sort of, it's changed slightly. So, a Japanese TV show, I can't even pronounce what the name of the TV show is, so I'm not going to try. they've listed on their docket for tonight, in fact, or today, the 31st of May, that they are having an episode of the TV show, I think like a daytime talk show kind of thing, like, Good Morning Britain, all this kind of thing, where they are talking about Pokemon, specifically Pokemon. And when they originally posted this thing on the like viewing guide in Japan, they specified it being quote unquote shocking Pokemon news. It's since been changed because I imagine Nintendo and Game Freak were like, don't amp it up so much. We need to bring it back down a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not certain on the time difference, so it could be later on. It could be the middle of the night for all I know in terms of time difference. I really don't know. I'll look it up. I'll probably wake up tomorrow and see what it is. And I imagine most of you will too. But that's just a thing to look out for tomorrow. Unless you're in Japan already, then you know that's going to be occurring today on May 31st. Some shocking Pokemon news on Japanese television. But in other shocking news, we had a few announcements this week. Four or five, actually. 4 or 5 announcements of games this week. And again, it's a shame Liam's not here because this first one he'd bust a nut over. Bethesda have officially announced the next Fallout game, Fallout 76. Which, no, you haven't missed a good fucking 72 installments. They've not just gone from 4 to 76. I believe it's set, or at least in the teaser trailer they showed off, it showed people going into Vault 76, I believe. It had a time date on the poster, I believe, from 1976 to 2076 as well. So again, more teasers. We'll find out more next week at E3. Well, that's it. That's what's been confirmed is the next Fallout game is Fallout 76, which allegedly, again, no confirmation, is being said to be a online survival RPG similar to that of DayZ or State of Decay, I believe. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. For all you Fallout fans out there, as I say, I'm not a big fan, but I hope it goes well for you. I really do. But the next game that's been announced is one I'm kind of curious about. Lego. It's a Lego game. I do like my Lego games. I've mentioned this before. I like my Lego games. The next Lego game to come out, apart from the Lego Incredibles game, which comes out soon, is Lego DC Supervillains. If you're a big fan of the Lego Batman games like I was, then this should be interesting because I liked how those games told a very original story with already established characters. And this is looking to do the same, but it's the villains now instead. So, again, it's only been a teaser trailer. There's not been gameplay at all shown. So, we'll see how that goes. But I'm looking forward to it. If anything, it'll just be another Lego game. And if you know yourselves if you're a fan of Lego games or not. And if you're not, then it doesn't bother you. If you are, fantastic. Here's a new one on the docket. The next game that has been announced, as I say, ties into Games of Gold, is another Sonic racing game. It's at the minute just called Team Sonic Racing. It's still cars and stuff. It was another teaser trailer. It was just Sonic and Shadow, both in the cars, about to set off on a race, and that's it. It just says it's coming this year, and that's all we know. That is all we know on that. So, a very short announcement, but announcement nonetheless. And the final bit of news for this week is a bit of a biggie, because I woke up yesterday, or was it the day before? I can't remember now. Wow, I really need to keep track of these things better. I woke up to the announcement of, should I say, the confirmation from the Pokemon rumors from the other week of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. It is now confirmed. Those are the next games in the Pokemon series coming out. They had a whole press conference on it as well. I watched the entire 45-minute thing. Probably could have been a shorter one, but they had to translate it from Japanese to English. And this is how it essentially went. They first said that one of the games they're working on is called Pokemon Quest, which is it's weird for one thing. It plays very much like you'd expect a mobile game to play, which is fitting because they have plans to release it on mobile platforms soon. At the minute, it came out yesterday after the press conference for Nintendo Switch, so I've had a brief go of the game. It's very much, again, as I say, it's very much how you'd imagine a mobile game to play. It has that sort of build-up or grinding mentality or levels and such. It looks pretty fun. I'll get more into it, but that's what they announced initially as becoming like, yes, here you go. Here's the thing you can do with your Switch and Pokemon for now. Apart from Pokemon Tournament. The next thing they announced was officially Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Now, there's a lot to unwrap here, so I'll try and break down as much as I can remember. I watched the trailer numerous times. I watched the press conference just the once, but I paid close attention. So, the trailer itself is worth a look. I'd suggest Googling it to quick to go have a look. What they said was it's been inspired by Pokemon Yellow, back in 1998, 99, Pokemon Yellow, because that was also inspired by the TV show, because you only had one starter and that was Pikachu, which is the same here. You can either get Pikachu or Eevee depending on which version you get, and it looks, I'll say it right now, it looks gorgeous. Like, graphics wise, it looks fucking awesome. So if that's the kind of standard that's going to be set for Pokemon games going forward on Switch, I'm all for that. That's going to be amazing. But other than that, you have your partner Pokemon. You have Pikachu or Eevee, who will, if you choose Pikachu, it'll ride on your shoulder throughout the game. If you choose Eevee, it'll ride on your head, which both are pretty fucking adorable. So just saying, I don't care how gay that sounds. It's fucking cute, man. I like cute things, and that's cute. Following Pokemon is back, which many people are going to be very happy about. Which you can also ride them too. There was a few rides shown off in the trailer. You can ride an Onix, a Lapras. Obviously, you can ride a Charizard. Even not even like a fly sense, just fly it over the map, sort of. What else was there? Yes. So going through the trailer, they showed off that it only requires one Joy-Con to play the game, which was quite shocking. I was like, okay, this is new. And with that one Joy-Con, you can, as I say, play the entire game as is. It's also going to be used, implementing the catching mechanics from Pokemon Go, the mobile game. So you'll be using the Joy-Con as if you're throwing the Pokeball to catch Pokemon. And without, obviously, they only showed us a very short trailer, so there's no gameplay or nothing. From what I've heard, you can attempt to catch it straight away before going into battle, but I've also heard that there might just be random encounter battles done away with. We'll see. But speaking of random encounter, it's no longer that random anymore, because on the overworld, the Pokemon will explore the grass. You'll see who you're encountering or want to catch. It looks really good, honestly. So yeah, you can play with the one controller. It's also going to introduce co-op, as maddening as that sounds. A Pokemon co-op game? Are you mad, sir? Yes, I am, apparently. Because yeah, your other Joy-Con can be used by a second player who can assist you with catching and give you a critical capture on a Pokemon. Or they can assist you in battle too. They can control one Pokemon, you can control the other. You can tag team a random trainer or a random encounter. So yeah, co-op play. That's interesting as well. But then the next part was even more intriguing. For those of you who know of Pokemon Go, you also remember the Pokemon Plus, or is that what it's called? The Pokemon Plus? The little watch strap thing you could just press every now and again to try and catch Pokemon. They're implementing something similar with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. It's called the Pokeball Plus, and it's essentially a Pokeball controller. Now, I don't remember the exact price in yen, but I converted it to pounds on Google, and it comes to about £35. I don't know what that is in dollars either. You have to look up for yourself. But that's basically, I don't know how that's going to play either, because as far as you can see on what's been shown, it's just like a stick. The button on the Pokeball is a stick, is the analog stick. Maybe you also use it to press buttons too, like you press it in. We don't know until it comes out. That's set to launch with the game, but that's another way you can play it as well. And you can even take Pokemon from the game itself and have them walk around with you in the real world in the Pokeball, and it will react as well, which is even more strange, but also quite interesting too. And then the last bit they showed off with it is Pokemon Go integrations, which is again something that was rumored but is now actually confirmed. Yes, it's going to be connected to Pokemon Go. You can send Pokemon, I believe it's back and forth, or it might just be from Go to Let's Go. We'll find out. As well as what they tease at the end is you'll receive a special Pokemon. They haven't shown you who it is. It could be something brand new. It could be just Mew. We'll find out. But yeah, that is a thing too. A special Pokemon that can only be sent from Go to Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. So we'll see about that as well. As I say, there's a whole big thing to unravel there. There's so much going on. I definitely recommend going to watch the trailer if you're a fan of Pokemon. I'm very excited for it as well. They also announced a release date too. It's November 16th this year. And that's the day you'll get Pokemon Pikachu, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, as well as the Pokeball Plus. And they also finished off the whole press conference by saying, yes, there is another core RPG in development for next year, due to come out next year. Which leads a lot of people to suggest, so is this a spin-off, or does this count as a full core game? No one knows. At the minute, we don't know that much at all. Maybe we'll get more at E3. Who knows? We'll find out in a few weeks. But that is it for all the news. The last thing I wanted to talk about was more just like, it's just things I was thinking about, really. I just thought I'd like to sort of voice those sort of opinions dead quick for the last 5 minutes. I was playing Gex, and as I said before, I really want, if Medieval can get a remake treatment, I want Gex to be remade too, because I think those games are heavily underrated. Either that or just give us more of it. More Gex, because TV and pop culture has developed so much since the 90s, so the kind of comedy that could come of Gex and his pop culture references could be hilarious. I would piss my sides laughing if he took an entire level riffing on the Avengers, for God's sake. And I love those movies, but I would still find it hilarious if he riffed on them. And then another thing I thought about is VR, because Ratchet & Clank, as I said before, is a series I hold dear to my heart. I think it's a phenomenal series, but I'm as confused as everyone else as to where the series is going right now. Because as we all know, Insomniac is busy with Spider-Man PS4, which is set to be an amazing game. I cannot wait for that game either. But I still want some Ratchet & Clank in my life. Which made me think about VR. And I thought, as a little, like, side game or side project, there's so many shooting gallery games on PSVR and just VR in general right now. Why not throw Ratchet & Clank in the mix? Because the difference there is all the eccentric, fucking imaginative, creative guns they have in that series. Give me a VR shooting gallery game with Ratchet & Clank's guns. Find all the guns that exist across the series and give me a shooting gallery in VR of those. I would be so happy to play. I would happily buy that game if I got to hold the Rhino in my hands, or even dick about with the Sheepinator, or the Thunder Smack, or Mr. Zircon. Oh, it would be just to be a fan of that series and play it in VR and I look to my side and see little Mr. Zircon floating beside me and riffing on everything he sees. That would be brilliant. So if the series is unfortunately not gonna get another entry, be it carrying on with the reboot series or just making their own games on their own again, no more movies, then I'd like to see a VR thing. I think if you're going to make another VR shooting gallery game, at least give it some flair. Not just zombies with normal guns and shotguns. Even the teddy bear game we played, I can't remember what it's called now. That teddy bear game, that was funny because they were dart guns, but it wasn't sort of eccentric. It was just different. I want eccentric in my, if they're going to make more shooting gallery games. So make it something like Ratchet & Clank, because they have a breadth of of weapons that would be fun to handle. But yes, that is it. That wraps up this week's installments of Max Level Games podcast. Thank you so much for listening in. It's just been me this week. Could you tell how nervous I was? I've been talking like a mile a minute. We've got a lot of stuff into this hour. I'm actually surprised I made it to an hour, not gonna lie. But, as I say, I'm very much appreciative of you guys giving me your time today. Liam should be back next week, and we'll have a normal episode out on Wednesday. Other than that, thank you very much for listening, guys, and the game. You all just lost it. Bye-bye.